Welcome.
Okay, so I'm back. I'm back here. I'm sorry for the break. My network was really bad. Okay, so before then, I want to welcome everybody again to the meet. I'm really happy to meet us again once more. It's always nice, to have everybody around here, and this shows that we really want to learn too. So it's awesome. Now, for those of us that came in early, as usual, I usually give shout out to those that join us early. So that includes Pascal. Pascal was like the first person I met here. Pascal, you're welcome to the meet. Oluwafemi Buzari, you're welcome to the meet. Pikasen, you're welcome to the meet. Dr. Mikelbo, I saw you very early. Justice Obasi. So those were the names I met here. So, but notwithstanding, I welcome everybody to the meet. So while we're waiting for our instructor to join us, I want to ask, given the project now, do we have any issues? Of course, we have issues, but how have we been coping? How have we been, pulling through the project? Because me personally, I know it has been hard. Like since we started the project, I can tell you that I have not been chanced at all. I have been spending my time able to write the main.h file, like the main file. That has not been easy. I've been reaching out to people to ask questions to really understand. It has not been easy, but all the same, at least I've been able to get at least four of the tasks. Yeah, four of the tasks with errors in between, two or three errors in between. But it's nice. It's nice. So definitely, I'm going to miss the first deadline. Yeah. But it's worth it. Okay. So if you want to speak, if you want to raise up your hand, then I'll give you the chance to speak. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to open the queue for us to ask our questions or air out whatever challenges we'll be having so that we can also reach out to each other. So, Christiana Mo, please speak.
Okay. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening,
Thank you
Christiana.
for everything so far. So my question is if you can get everything checked, like bacteria, bacteria, I have one on check. The check I got checking from my it says output whatever. It's not output error in output. So is it possible that if I don't get bacteria checked, can I get others? Can I move on to others?
Of course, yeah. You don't get, but if you just if you miss only one check in the class one, it does not mean that you will not get the other checks in class one. So, each of the tasks may have, let's say, 5 marks. So, in this case, they are going to round it to and give you equivalent to what you have. So, you may end up having 3.5 or 4 marks. So, it's okay.
So it doesn't affect other ones.
No, not at all. It does not affect other ones. No, so it does not affect other ones. So, you can go ahead and give the other one a try. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. That's nice. That's nice. Ajayi Ayomide, please, you want to mute your mic. Thank you. Okay, so does anybody have any challenge we should talk about before our instructor will join us? Or observations based on what you have been doing or what you've learned so far from the project? Anybody? I wouldn't want to call names because I'm seeing a lot of my friends here. I'll just call your name now and tell you to start to teach us printf. Okay, so Picassen is raising up his hand. Okay, you can speak now. Picassen. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Oh, okay. I wanted to ask about the issue of Zoom meetings. It's like they're going to be recorded since we have a problem with the number of students, which are more than the number that Zoom can like take or like occupy at that time. So how are we going to implement like better ways for people to get the whole recording of the class for those who wanted to like go through the lesson and find out what was going on but couldn't. But what is the plan for like all students to get access to that kind of information?
Okay. Thank you for your question. So if you've been following us in the group, you've been following us. Few days ago, we had our media team set up. So our media team has been doing their work. So since then, our sessions has been recorded, and they've been dropping the links to the videos in the group. So perhaps you may have missed it, but you can always ask for the link to the videos in the group, and our media team will attend to you and they'll send it to you. Okay? I I hope you got that. So please, if you missed any of the sessions, okay, yeah, if you missed any of the sessions, starting off from a few days ago, we didn't have our sessions recorded from the beginning. Recorded from some days back, our sessions has been recorded. So you can ask in the group, and perhaps maybe you joined late in the group, so you may have missed the video. So you can ask in the group, and our media team will definitely attend to you, and you will get your link. Okay. All right. So, future Joshua, please ask a question or say whatever you want to say.
Okay, hello, Mr. David. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. And you?
I'm doing fine. So, me has a contributor in this printf project. So, how I'm going to participate because they have said shouldn't clone or shouldn't create another repo. So, how I'm going to contribute? That's
Okay.
my question.
Okay. How you will contribute? Of course, it's just like having your regular project where you clone and you start to work. So, if you or your partner has created a repo, all you need to do is for either you or your partner to add yourselves as a collaborator. Then afterwards, both of you can go ahead and clone the repository. Mind you, don't fork the repository. Only one person is meant to have the repository on their GitHub. So you just go ahead and clone that repository, CD into the repository, and do your identity update so that whenever you push, it's going to show that you are the one that authored it. And that's all, basically all. So you just go ahead and do, by the time you push, it will appear in the repository, and your partner pushes, it appears in the repository. And by that, everybody's okay.
Thank you so much. Get it.
All right, there's no problem. And also, we should note that ALX said in the instructions of the project that we should at least have equal amount of commits, but it should not be less than 60-40. So in whatever you do, your partner should not be the only person doing the task. You two have to participate. Okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. So does any other person have something to? Okay, Christiana and more. Okay, please speak.
Okay, so based on what the lady that just asked the question after me, you said ask the team. With me, I feel like every day after the whole session, they should just upload it. They shouldn't wait for anybody to ask. They should just upload it. Many people will leave it and might not know. Now that she asked you, many people are not here. They might not also know that they will ask. Let them just upload it after each week. I don't know that they have many days ago. I only saw the one of yesterday. And I was here till the around party. But it's necessary to be uploading it once we finish. There is no need of waiting for people to ask.
Okay, okay, I'm going to answer that. If you've been following us in the group, if you have been following everything in the group or most of the announcements, you may have seen the links. Nobody usually asks for the links. Immediately after the session, someone from the media team usually drop the links. So they don't wait for anybody to ask. So if you have missed it, it means you did not see it. And also I've been sounding it that we should not go into the main group and start to chat, just sit down and chat on random things. No, if we do this, we will miss out on many informations, important information. We have another group called ALX random group. That's where we can do our chit chat, gist, laugh, do all the funny stuff. But in the main group, we should not do that. We should keep it strictly for the purpose of this whole movement. Yeah, so immediately after each of the meets, we usually drop the link in the group there. Okay, so always check. Yeah, always check. It's
Please,
always
can
there.
they repost it? I'm always
Yeah, yeah.
following. I'm confused because I'm always there.
Okay, there's no problem. There's no problem. Okay, so what will happen? I'll give the head of our media team now to speak and clarify us on this. So Obedimo, please help us clarify on the things of the media.
Okay, hi, hello everybody, good evening, or hi, wherever your time zone is. My name is UM, nice to be talking to all of you. So yeah, we have, we, when we initially started, we had problems or challenges with the recordings and stuff, but recently we've been able to overcome those. The last session was recorded and it was posted right in the chat. But like Mr. David said, when the chat gets so clogged up, it's very difficult to sieve and get the important information. So if you just keep our chit chatting, keep our jokes, keep even our questions about projects in LX that are not exactly and directly related to the last session's discussion in the other group, then that will free up space here so that anything that is here, anything that you need, any important or pertinent information you need about what's going on, when you go here, just down one or two charts, you immediately be able to get that information. I don't know if that's helping.
No, but the question is, apart from the last session
Yes, please.
uploaded, is there any other one that has been uploaded apart from yesterday?
You mean the videos?
Yes, please.
Yes, there was one before that. There have been just 2 recorded sessions so far.
Wow. Please, can you re-upload it? I'm not even looking for it as yet.
Not a problem. It will be a pleasure to do so. My challenge is each time I come to the chat, I see a lot of random material that sometimes I feel even overwhelmed myself. And I wonder how Mr. David feels. And especially when we have people coming in to help us, to bless us with their knowledge and tackle our questions. If everybody will just cooperate and be mature about it, things like this will not even be a problem. You will just go on there and you probably have an opportunity to keep uploading the videos or links to the videos every little, time, and everybody be able to get access. But when there's so much clutter, it's so impossible. We've been crying about this, happy about this, and this thing is, yeah, it might seem to be free, but trust me, it's not really free because Mr. David is paying a price. So is anybody else that he brings. If nothing else, they are spending their data doing this, and we're not buying it for them. I wonder if you guys sometimes wonder what he stands to gain out of all of this. It's just a loving heart and wanting to help people. So the least we can do is cooperate with them. All right?
Okay.
But of course, we'll post all the videos. Just keep in touch with the group. We'll try and upload all the videos that we have on the links to them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hello, Mr. David. I'm done.
I appreciate you for a while posting. Can some, wow. Can somebody hear me?
Yes, I
Can
can hear
somebody
you
hear
loud
me?
and clear.
Okay. I'm sorry. My network is so bad this night. I don't even know how I'm going to put through, but as well. Okay, so I was saying that I was thanking you first of all for helping to clarify us on the matters of the media. Please, if anybody have issues, maybe you are not seeing the links or maybe you missed it, you can always tag Mr. Owen in the group, and of course, he will attend to you. And also, let us take the advice of not posting irrelevant things in the group, yeah, in the main group. We can do that in the random group. This is there for us. We can chat the lab, do whatever, post whatever you want to post. But in the main group, let's be strict on it and see how we can leave it for the purpose of this movement. So we don't miss out on the important information. Sometimes I want to post the things in the announcement group, but then most of us might miss it because the announcement group is not only for us, of course, it's for other people too in the community. So we may miss out. So that's why sometimes I come inside the group there to post some of the things we need. And well, I believe after now it will get better. So before our instructor said he's having some issues, so he will join us in a minute or two. So that's why we are using this time now to see how we can tackle some of the issues we've been having. Okay? Okay, he's already here with us. Already. So does anybody have any observations again or anything, any issues at all that he or she might want to speak about? Because after now we start and we will not want any distractions. And please, if you want to say anything in the meet, you may want to raise your hand, and whenever it's time, they will give you time to speak. Don't just unmute your mic and start to speak. No, that is very distracting. Please, let's see how we can utilize our time today. Okay, remember our instructor too is working with time. He has to rest. He's working. So please, if he can be here with us to sacrifice his time, please, we should be able to honor it too. Okay? So since nobody has anything to say, it's another time in the night again where we have somebody to come and bless us in our printf project that we have been finding very difficult. So today again we have Mr. Elisha Benjamin, who was with us yesterday, and I believe many of us will gain a lot from him because he helped break down some of the things we thought we couldn't do. Like myself, I was thinking I didn't even know where to start in the project, but when he came, he was able to tell us that okay, this is what we need, this is what we need, this is what we need, and then he put everything together, and it was very clear. And then when I went back, like since morning, I saw the challenges. I was able to at least do something. So I'll welcome him again to the meet, of course. And for some of us who just joined us today, I want to present to you Mr. Elisha Benjamin. He's from a senior cohort, cohort 9. And he's somebody I respect so much. Mr. Elisha, please, you're welcome to the meet again.
So David, thank you for the introduction. Thank you everyone for having me here. How is the project going? So yesterday we took a lot of time, so today I will try and make it brief. I know we're running out of time. Everybody wants to tackle the project as far as possible. So we'll pick up from where we stopped yesterday. So, and also there were some questions raised yesterday during the meeting. So I'll try and answer them also as fast as possible. Then there's a particular concept I was trying to introduce yesterday. I got hooked on that. So I went back to look at it clearly. So I think maybe I will throw more light on it, but I won't do it separate section. As we're solving the printf project, I will explain it more clear there. So I'll be sharing my screen now. So I guess everyone can see my screen.
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
So yesterday we just started. We're able to create only 3 files from it. So we're still structuring the project. So well, let's walk through in case other people that are joining us today just give a walkthrough. We'll start with the main file. That's the header file. So yesterday we see that someone raised the question, why are we including them here? So I just want to include them in one place because most of the documents, they will require these headers, so these libraries. So that's why I just include them here instead of having to include them in each of the files. I'll just include what the main header in the file, and it will appear in all the files that I need them to appear. So also yesterday we created the structure that will help us keep a string of a particular identifier, and also what the function that will handle that identifier once we made it in the string. Then we looked at breaking down the project. All right, someone unmute himself, making noise in the background. Sorry for that. So also we looked at, okay, the main string, we're going to have a constant string character. That's our format. Then we also have our values that will follow suit. So, and this is a signature of a variadic function. So that's what we're going to make our printf function. It's going to be a variadic function. Then we also have a function that returns a pointer to a function. So what this basically does is, after selecting a particular function that will handle a particular identifier, we'll have to return it back. Then we'll use that function to pass in our argument that we pass through with the string format also. Then we also have our buffer handler. So yesterday we tried to explain that, okay, we're going to have a temporary storage on the system that will keep pushing to it as we are arranging the strings as they come, since it's a format that is given. So we keep arranging them in the string. So once we're through, we'll then print it out on our standard output. And what would do the printing out for us? We created it's just a simple print buffer function that will do that for us. So, and also we started generating for car. So this print car function, what it does basically is going to handle just a character. Anytime we meet a character, it is the one going to handle it for us. So this is just a sample code when we use to explain this, but we'll take it out. But we'll still leave it here since we're still using this. So that's all for the header file. So let's look at the handle buffer that we did yesterday. So yesterday we looked at the handle buffer. So what the handle buffer does basically, it accepts the buffer, then accepts a character, and also accepts the index where it's going to put it. So we had a flow control structure here, which help us check whether the buffer has been exhausted, has been putting in to the minimum the strings that we're expecting. So if the buffer is filled up, what we want to do, we want to print it to that output and continue. That's why we are returning back to 0. So the buffer now will start imputing from the start of the buffer. So till we finish the entire format that we have. So then we'll return what? The index, the next index where put the buffer. So that's for this. And we'll have our print buffer. Let's look at that also. So the print buffer is just simple. What we utilized was the write function that was given to us. So you can see that we are accepting what? A buffer. This buffer basically is just what? It's just a string because it just helps us to what? Keep those strings. So once we finish arranging the format on the buffer, what we do, we pass it to write function. And this one that is here is just identifying that, okay, we want you to write what to standard output. If you want it to write to standard error, we'll pass it to, and so forth. Then we'll pass the what, the buffer, that's the source, the string source. So the buffer is our string source here. Then we tell it the total number of what, of byte to print from this word, from this source. So basically, we're still going to what, pass it through here, pass it here, then it will automatically print for us. So, and you can take note that we're including our main header. So all those structure and all those functions, they are available here. We can just make use of them. So the next thing we're supposed to look today, we'll continue from where we stopped. So after we've handled our buffer, then we handle the printing. The next thing now is to handle the printf statement itself. So let's look at that of what character. So how to handle character itself. So what print card does, basically, if you go to what we want to do with print card is after printing it out, after sending other print card, all of these functions. Let me open this first. So I'll explain and we'll see what I'm saying. So we want each of these functions, we are going to have other functions. We're going to have the one that will handle integer for us also here. So, but all of these functions that you see here, this one is for character. So immediately this function handles his own specifier. We want him to return the total number of what character he added into what, into our buffer. So we're going to handle that. So at the end of this, that's why we're putting an what, an integer. So after he handles it, we want him to okay, send back total number of character that you added. So but basically for a character, for a car, we know that it's going to always handle only one. So at the end, we're expecting that he returns what? One, integer one. So I'm going to handle that also inside this. So but let's tackle it before we come to handle this. So I'm supposed to go with this, but if I'm doing this one, it's going to be more abstract. So I want to do this first. After doing this one, then we'll come and do this one. Then we'll fuse them together. All of them, they will come to life. So once we do this first one, to do the other one, you'll see the flow will go fine. So yes, let's do this one. Then we'll come and do get function. So let's the next one that we'll be handling the This is how we spell it there, right? See, print car. So, okay. So now what we'll do, we'll include our library. So our library is main.h. So mind you, I'm not writing the documentation, but in your own code, you have to do all the documentation. Uh, the signature of this function is going to start with what? It's going to return an integer, and the name is print car. CHR, call it print CHR. So what he'll be taking, the first thing that to be taking var list. So yesterday we saw what var list is all about. So it's the one that gave us that very big ability. So I'll call this argument. So the next thing is going to take what? The buffer itself. So the buffer is a car with a string. So that's what buffer. And to also take the index. So I can decide to say unsigned int. IB. So this is just saying the index of what? Of the buffer. That's the index that we can push value to. So now we already know that Putka is going to receive what? A buffer, and is going to receive this and this. So at this value, why we even come here in the first place, because we already identified the character that, okay, this is a character. So we want character to be handled. So now, and the character is going to come here. So once we call this guy var arc, it's going to give us the character in this other end of, let me open another one here so that some explain. So what I'm just trying to explain is this particular function, what it does is we'll pass in what? A character, because when we call this, for example, now, as we call this particular printf, you can see here we're saying what? S. So let me make it a character since we're not handling what? Character. So that when I'm so let's say C that is found here, and say this entirely here, what we have here is D. This is the scenario that we're trying to portray there with this particular word function. So now, once our printf finds out that, okay, here there is C, the specifier is C, what he does is he will push this particular word value. So, and how can we access the value? Is through this that we can access the value. So he will push it inside and also what push the buffer that we are what we've created, we are managing, and also what push the last index of what of the buffer where character has been inserted in the buffer. So we already know that okay, this is the particular spot that we're going to put the character in. So let's assume we have a long string like this and it's split into three. Let's say we put into the first one, this ID now will increase by 1, so it is going to be pointing to it. So whenever we push an ID to the next function, the next index. So that's why we're having this here, so that you know that okay, I'm putting it here, not here, not here. So it's going to do it what dynamically. So that's the essence. So for this now, once the printf already identified this, we push this through this value, then you also what push what the character, and also what push the buffer and the index where the character should be. So let's go ahead and handle it. So the first thing that we are going to do now, we have our argument here. So we're going to create a variable called C. Let's call it C. So since we come in here, we can just say var underscore arg. I think we already know the use of this function. We'll say argument, no comma, we'll say int, so close. So see this now, I'm saying an integer. So it's not actually this particular value that is returning here. It's not actually returning what? An integer. You know, I think during your introduction to data types, they made mention that everything that there is nothing like C, there is nothing like D, there is nothing like B. The entire thing that C language sees at the back end, you are the one seeing C and everything. All these characters, all these ASCII characters, they have what? Numeric value. And if you see for A, I think, okay, let me just explain it this way. So all that you have, A has a numeric value, B has a numeric value, C has a numeric value. So all these values, they are all integers. So that's why we are retrieving it as what? As integer. So it's going to return what? An integer. But once we are pushing it into our buffer, our buffer already knows. Once you push it to write already knows that okay, this particular number is not a number, it's actually what? An C. If it is a D that we got, he knows that okay, this particular value is for D. So that's why we are saying that okay, the value that we are expecting what? An integer. It's an ASCII character value. So the number of that ASCII character, that's what we are expecting to receive from this guy. So that's why we're retrieving it here. So you can see we are calling it just once. So if we call it once, if we call it again next time, if we find D and we call it again, we're going to get this one. So that's why as much as possible, we call it only once, we won't call it again. So the next thing that we go ahead and do now, since we've handled that, so the next thing we do, we handle our buffer, then we'll just return it. So, well, let me make it let's break this down. Let's just see. Let's not combine everything together. So let's make this even more clear. So I'll come down here, just give it a space. So you can see I'm declaring a variable of type car C. So I'm assigning the value here. Then here, we already see here that handle buffer takes in what? The buffer takes what? Character and what? The index. So you can see here in our function, we already have what? The buffer, the index. So we have everything that we need to invoke our handle buffer. So we'll say handle sorry, pardon me, my network is kind of slow. So handle buffer. Then we're going to pass the first argument is going to be what? The buffer. Second argument is going to be what? Is going to be character. So to make correction here because we are supposed to handle character, but we can see that we are saying it's a string. So I have to remove this. Stir it here. Okay, so I think we're good here. So just wants to be sure. So now we are here. We'll say he's going to handle this particular C that we got here. We'll pass it to it. Then and what we'll do next, we'll pass the index I buffer it. End it. So we already know that this handle buffer is going to handle only one character. But there are some of the functions that we're going to create. They are not going to handle only one character. They're going to handle more than what? More than a character. So in that case, they are not going to return one. So we'll can still go ahead and say, okay. So we'll just return one. So I think we're through with what? We're through with print car. So we're through with this print car here. Is there any? Let me give room for question now. Yeah, anyone with any question with what we've done so far? Joshua, go ahead. Joshua, go ahead. Unmute yourself. Joshua, you're raising up your hand. Unmute yourself.
Hello?
Hello. Good
Hello?
evening.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Mhm. My question is on this bar list. This bar list.
Valist.
Number 12. And
All
number
right.
12. Look at the bracket. Bar list. Bar
Yes.
underscore list. Is it a macro? Is it what is the function of that? Is it a micro or or a variable? I want to understand that that particular
This
this
one?
bar underscore list.
Yes,
Yes,
var
yes.
underscore list. Yes.
Underscore list. The first one
Yes.
before you reach the
All right.
a macro.
Yes, it's a macro.
And what is the function?
Okay, it's a macro. Are you with us yesterday?
I was disconnected because of network, sir. So I couldn't.
All right. I think that's the reason. So the values itself is a variadic function. It gives, sometimes you want to pass values to a function, but you don't actually know, okay, at a particular time, how many values the user is going to pass. So you can see like our printf here. What we are expecting from the user is a format. He's going to give us a format. So once he gives us that format, based on the format, you can see it here. That's why I leave this sample here. This is the format we're talking about here. So once the user gives us a format, we don't know how many values the user will decide to put here. So that's why we want to use a variadic function. So that var list, it has var start, it has var end, var copy. So all these macros, they are the ones that will give us this ability, because that's how printf function works. I don't know any way that we can do it again that will give us this flexibility. You understand? But we can use arguments, but that will restrict us, because now we have to give a specific number and keep defining their data. So, but this one now will not check, okay, what's the data type when we are defining it. It can accept any kind of data type. So that's the use of this var list. So maybe after this class, you go and look it up again. There is a full project regarding this. So variadic functions. So if you look at it, they explain it very detailed there. How you can use it, how you can access the values. So is there any other question? If no question, let's next one. Joshua, did I answer your question? Sorry.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Please do and check the variadic function project. Go over it again. It gives you clear explanation of what it is. Okay. So let's look at the next one. So we've tackled this. That's print car. We've tackled print car. So I want us to tackle what? Get function. So I'm going to handle this. Let me also rename this since we're dealing with printing. So let's handle the print. The get function. So we'll just create another file. So let's list what we have so far. So far we've handled the buffer, we have our header, we have our print buffer, we have our print card. So let's go ahead and handle the get function. So we'll just say get. So here, the first thing I would do always make it sort of slow. So please pardon me. Speedy. So include our main file here, main header file. Main.h. Like I keep saying, you have to write your own documentation. So I'm skipping the documentation part. So the function, what it does, it returns the pointer, the function. So there's also a project that you did pointer to function pointers. So you look at that also if you're not too clear with what we're doing here. So this is the function that we're trying to handle here. So I'm just trying to give it a meaningful name. Something that once you see it, you know exactly what it's doing. So you can see here, what we did was, this is a function. Once the function, a, a pointer, a function pointer, if you're writing it down, the first thing you do, you say, okay, that function, what's its return type? The function that you are returning, what's its return type? You put its return type here. Then what's the name of the function? You put the name of the function here, you put asterisk, then double bracket, then what is the parameter of that particular function you are returning, you put it here. So, but in our own case, the function itself, it takes in what? Parameter. So this particular function takes in two parameters to determine the kind of function that it will return. So the number one, it takes in what? String and what? An index. So based on that, it makes a decision. Okay, this is the function that I'm going to what? Return. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll come here, we'll say it's returning what? An integer. So same thing here, we'll say asterisk function, get function, get print function, open. So what it takes in what? Character. So let me make this constant, since I don't want it to be changed at any point. Constant. I will change it there also. Please remind me. So here we'll say S, then it takes in what? An index. So we'll say unsigned int. I don't want it to carry any. Unsigned int. I would say an index. Let it carry an index. Cover this, and I'll cover the next bracket, which is this one. So the function that we're expecting him to return is a function that has var lists, parameter, var lists, comma, and it has a buffer. So the buffer is char x. So then it takes in the index of that buffer, which is an unsigned int also. So I can decide to cover this now. So where do you define it? So let's define the function here. So remember, there is something that we did yesterday. Here we define a structure where it's going to hold a word, a type of the argument, then also what is going to return what? A function for us. So this function takes in char and what? Yes, it takes in buffer and what? And unsigned. So that's same thing here. You can see the pattern here, the same thing is saying. It's the same thing. So based on that structure, we can have an array, a pointers array for that structure. We can have array of this structure. So to get that array of the structure, go ahead and start defining it here. Name it. See. So I'm doing this. I'll say print. Give the data type. It's print t underscore t. Here's where I'm getting this here. So underscore T. This is the type that I want to keep. Say underscore T. I'll call it PR. Let me just call it PR. So since it's a string, it's a array of those things. So I'm open the curly brace here. Let me end this. So inside of this, I have let me have for the first one, I will say, okay, the string that is going to hold here. See the string that I'm trying to define here. I'm going to put a string. So the first one is the string. So the string that it holds, we're looking for C. So the next argument should be the print function. So here is what a print function. Keep this here. So it's an integer and it returns this. So it's a function. So already we have what? Print car. So print car will be available for us here also. So we have the first one and we say what? Print car. So yesterday we talked about functions themselves. They are holding what? Memory address. So the name of the function itself, it holds what? The first block of what? Of that function defined. So here is going to return the address for us, and the address is going to be stored in this structure. So once we have this, so there's what we will do here. So when we are iterating over this, once we find a null, we know that we've reached the end and the function is not defined in our printf. So we may decide to throw an error or not to handle it at all. So we can give this. This. So we can say the first one can have so we can say this. We want to let them have a null. Null also. So we have these two here. We can have multiple of this. So as we keep defining our functions, as we define for string, also we define for integer, we come and keep adding them here. So you will see how this is going to be simple. You're just going to focus on one particular part of it, and how scalable your code is going to be easily. It's not going to be what? Clustered. So even when you're debugging, it makes your life easy. So in the project itself, they made mention that you don't have to worry about. They say the format is a character string. It's composed of 0 or more directive. So for more, you need to handle the following conversion: CS percentage. You don't have to reduce the buffer handler of the C library printf function. You don't have to handle the flag characters. So we don't have to worry about that. Then we don't have to handle field weights. So we don't have to bother ourselves about that. You don't have to handle precision, so no worries. So you don't have to handle the length modifier. So what we'll just focus is on character now. So we'll keep modifying our work. So since we are not worried about those things, it just makes life easy for us for now. Okay. So once string is given, so we say while so I'm up here. I want to define a variable that I'm going to be iterating. So let me say int I. Yes. Yes. Come down here. Iterative. So say I. To 0. Say while R put I. Dot. Let's see. So check this here. It's type of arc. That's the title we give it. So dot. It's not equals to no. So if this guy is not equal to no, we want him to continue. So that means we're going to come and enter here because this is an array. So we keep iterating into this array. Once we find this, we check. If this guy is not null, that means we have not reached the end of this particular array that I created here. This is an array that I created. So I want to say, okay, once you are in this array, once this value is not empty, I want you to go inside. Then that's when I will do the checking, whether it's for C. So, and here again, once I find out that this first value here, that's why I was checking here, because once I come here, I will check the first one. Once I check this first one, I will find out that it's what is not. So if it is not, it won't what? It won't pass in here to just go out. So Since that's the case, I will check in here if uh, passing string here, that our format is coming in here and what the index of that format. So I'll check if s at index if x at index is equals to PR right underscore. I want to be to break this guy. I want him to break. I want him to break the loop. Shouldn't continue. So I just want him to break and come out of it. So and break out. But if it is not, else just increment with I by 1. Then continue. So I'll come down here. And what I will do here, I will say what return. I would like to return PR index I oops, dot F. So you can see here why I say dot F is because the naming is what F. That's the name of the function is F. So just return it. So is there anyone with any question with what we've done now? Hello?
We are all here, son.
All right. Is there anyone with question with what we've done so far? Hello?
I think everybody's good.
Feel good? So you're following what I'm doing exactly. You understand everything. Please ask questions. Let it be interactive. Ask questions. We need your questions to clarify things. You don't just want to copy, you want to understand it. Okay? I need you guys' question.
Well, basically for me, I really do. I'm completely lost because I was not here yesterday when the session was on. So I don't really know. I don't want to draw us back. So I'll just see if I can get the other video of yesterday and rewatch before I can actually relate to what is going on here. So mine is not really that I have a question, but I am completely lost out of what is really going on. I'm just looking.
Okay. All right. So it's just basically for this get function. So this is what it does. So any function that we have, we'll come and add it here. So this will keep increasing. We keep increasing this. So, but for now, let's leave it at this. We just have only one. We're targeting one. We're targeting the first one. Do the other ones later. So this, it will come in here. First of all, it will check this is an array that we created of type what? Pretty. So this is an instance of that structure. And this is another instance of that structure. But this time around, we're putting null to mark the end of what? Of the array. So here we're saying while PR is not empty, please check S that we're passing, that's the format at particular index that we're going to pass. Check if it is equals to the same value with this, that's PTR at particular index that we are in. If the value of type R, which is this C, if this C is equal to that particular word character. So what we are saying is this particular format now, you should check if this one is equal to this. If it's equal to this, so return this particular word function. This is what it's going to do. So if they are equal, we're going to stop the loop. So, and you know, our I will be, let's assume at this first iteration is at 0. So we find that C is there. So as they are equal, it's going to break. So our I will still remain what? 0. So it won't come and do this. It won't add up. So it will still remain 0. So here we'll say what? PI, which is what? If we say this PR at index 0, which is this one at index 0, so we say dot F. So it's going to return what? Print character. So this F, you can see that here, the way we defined it is returning what? It's a pointer of what? Of a function. So, and here when we are creating it, we actually pass what? Print car function. So you can see we included the header. So that's why we have access to what? To this print character here. So we have access to it. So when we are doing our compilation, we're going to add what? Print character to our compilation file. So that is going to be available for us to add it here. Then we return it back. Then we can decide to do whatever we want to do with it. So I think this is fine for now. So as we go forward, we keep modifying this because it's definitely going to change. Once we keep having some challenge, we keep modifying. So we don't have to modify our entire file. When we come, we focus on particular one. So I think, let me exit this one. It's good. Okay, this. So the next one now, we're going to be looking at our printf function now. So this is where we are bringing everything together. This is where we're going to fuse everything now. So I think I made some changes, if I'm not mistaken. So let me make the correction. before we go forward. Once we forget, start compiling if you're having errors. So this one I changed it to constant. And in the index, I made it unsigned int. I don't like the way it's going. It's going to affect this. So let me just reduce this. I think it's still good. So the next one now we're going to do our printf function. So that's the main function I'm going to start with. So first thing we do is import this. Include our header in the C. So you know printf function returns the number of characters it actually prints. So the same thing with what our own would do. So we say int for def this say constant um, its format. Ready function. So now, as we are here in our printf function, the first thing that we're going to look at, we're going to consider what the length of the character, the iteration, the buffer index also. So what I will do, I'll say unsigned int. So I'll name length, hold the length for us. I'll have I will use to go through each and every one of them. Then I can also have my I buffer. So I buffer at this point should be equal to 0. And make this also is equal to 0 at this particular point. And length is equal to 0 also. So the talk is really slow. Yeah. So the next thing I'll define my pointer to my function. I'll define what the pointer to the function that I want to hold. So I can call it what? If I'm defining the pointer, I will say int. So that's where we did errors the way I got hooked. I'm supposed to have defined what a pointer to the function before I assign the value to it. So I will say it here. So int, let me call it what? Function. Function, okay. So what's the function like? It takes in a what buffer and first take the for what's called the lists. takes in values, then it takes in character. Values, character, and integer. All this string. So there's a pointer to it. So the next thing, just wait to come up. Next thing, I'll define my buffer that I've been talking about for long. This is a buffer. So once this is done, I'll do some check-ins. So to make sure that the string that we're giving, I'll make sure that the format is not empty. That means the string the person is passing is not empty. And also, the buffer that we're going to create is not empty. The if format that the person pass is at the beginning of our format, and also the next character is not empty. If it is empty, then it's definitely an error. So, and if we check our format, there is no character in it, it's just return 0. So it did not print anything. So it won't print anything on the screen, it just returns 0. So how are we going to do that? So first of all, start by creating what? Come here. I'm saying I'll create a var list here. I'll call it argument. Here. Then I'll come down here. And say, okay, I'm going to start this guy now. I want to associate these values here with this argument so that they'll be poured into this argument. I can iterate over them inside my functions. So what I'll say var underscore start. Open it. Next thing I'm going to pass to it is my argument. And the one that is going to follow is this format here. So because I want to bind it to the format as well. Format. So after I bind it, I want to create what a buffer here. So I'll dynamically allocate memory So I'll say the F, this buffer, say equals to alloc. And now open this, I say off, size of 3. The size of and decide to say int, it will still work, but I want the characters. So everything that I'm saving is the size of character that I'm going to be using. So I just want to use character. So integer will make it 4. So we want 1 byte each. So by this by total size that I want the buffer to be. So and there is something that we did somewhere. Can someone remember when we defined the size of the buffer we checked? Okay, I remember. It should be in our print buffer. So if you come here, see VI print buffer.c. Okay, so I think it's handle buffer. So you can see we are saying our maximum size should be 1000. So this is where we're going to make use of it. So we're going to say, because we're checking if buffer index higher exhaust. So that means we make sure that our buffer, the entire size is 1000. So 1000. So I'll come down here. After I've gotten this, I want to check, does the person that put in this value, so I'll come down here. carry C. To carry something like this C. So, but once it doesn't find this C, it's an error already. We don't want that. So we're going to do some checks now. We'll come back here. We'll say if format, it is this format here that's given at index I. Is empty, which is going to be what? Error. So if it is empty, because empty is going to return false for us. So I want to make it like this. Or okay. So it's right here equals to if the format is false. If this format at I is equals to, let's say, $sign and format at I plus 1. Empty. If it's empty, I can use null, but let me not make it too cluster. Use this. Let's see if this is empty also. So or the format that the person passed, to pass null value. The person passed a null value. I want to also exit with an error. Then or if our malloc also fails, this particular malloc here that we did here, if this fails, if we are not able to be assigned a memory, we want to say to tell the printf to also what fail. So if both are here, because if this fails, it's going to return null to this. So I would like to return So return -1. Let's make it common like that. So to return -1 because this is filled. So these are errors that I want to handle. So okay, there's something that will happen here. I need to put these two in bracket because they are one particular check. These two go together. This so this is an error for me. These are the errors that we check. So there's another condition we should check again. If the string that the person passed is empty, if the string that the person passed is empty, it should return 0. So how will we check that? Let's come here and see. Hello, can you still hear me?
We can hear you, sir.
Okay. So if the string that the person passed is empty, how will we know that it's empty? So we can access the first string. If it's empty, it's going to return this value /0. And what this value is truthy. What we mean truthy, that means it can be false or true. So this guy is false. So that's what we're going to find inside that string. If the person passed an empty string, like what the person will just do, he just did this. So we know that is what is an empty string. So that's what we're trying to handle. So automatically what C language does is you won't see it, but there is a value like this inside. You'll find a value somewhat like this. Inside this, it won't show you, but it's there. So it adds it automatically for you. So this is to demarcate the end of the string. So since it's an empty string, this thing is still present inside at the background, but you won't see it. So we are saying that, okay, if that's the only thing that we find inside this particular word format, since the format is empty, we want to return what? 0. We don't care about what he passed here behind. So since the format is empty, it's returning 0 automatically. We don't want to return. So we'll just go ahead and say if format I is empty. So this is basically it. If it returns that guy, so we want to invert it to back to true. So but if this is true, we invert it back to false, so it won't do this. So say return the total number of characters you print, which is 0. You didn't print anything. So we have handled our checks here. So we've handled for this goof. If this fails, if null was passed If it's something like this that was passed, the person went ahead to pass this. Pass now to the function. We want to check it also. We don't want that. It's an error. We don't want somebody to pass something like that to our function. So that's what we're checking here. So this buffer here, we're checking. If this guy fails to allocate, it returns null to us. We want to what? We want to throw an error. So we check again if the person went ahead to put the first value, wants to deceive us that it's an identifier that he wants to pass, and he did not pass the identifier, something in this nature. So this is an error. This is not a valid format that we want. So that's what we are handling here. We're saying, okay, leave the character at I, which is what? Remember our I here, we initialize it to 0. So all these things we are saying at the beginning. So anyway, we are saying I here. So if I is this, so put this. So if it is equals to this and what, the next value in it is what? Is false C. That means at the end of the string. So just return what? Minus 1. So either if this happens, if this case happens, return minus 1. If this scenario happens, return minus 1. If this one happens, return minus 1. So but once this one's passed, we check here, okay. The string is not empty. The string is, there is a valid string. This scenario did not happen. This, they didn't pass null to the function and buffer was successful. So we come here, we say, okay, in the case that somebody passed an empty string, we don't have any format to what? To deal with. So it's an empty format, so nothing to handle. Let's just return what? 0. We won't do anything, so we exit. So let's go ahead and tackle the other structures. So if this happens, we handle it. So we'll start iterating. We'll say our I at what? We'll start with I at 0. So we continue to format. We check if the format is valid. Format is not null. And format at I is what? It's not empty. So we keep iterating. So the first thing that we'll do here, we already declare our I here. But to be on the safer side, I would say for looping for I equals to 0. And I would say if format is not empty, and format at I also not empty, we do element I. So we want to be iterating through our strings. So this is what we want to do. So we are saying that this guy, he will start iterating here. Let me see. Um, see this. So this is what I want to do. I'm saying that we're going to start iterating through this. So that's why we set up this for loop. We start at index 0. So you can see is the format we are checking. We are making sure that the format is not empty. I know we've already checked here that it's not empty. Yes, it's not empty, but I want to be sure. I want to be 100% sure that my program will not fail at any point. So I'll keep checking if this guy is not known. So, and again, then this one at I is not what? Empty. So that means there is another string in it. So increment I. So I'll keep iterating over these values. So once if I come to any value now, I find out that this value is percentage, I will want to handle it. But if it's not percentage, I will want to what? Pass it to a buffer. So here I will say if format at what? At I equals to percentage. So I know the next thing that will follow is what? An identifier. So I know that next thing that will follow is what? An identifier. So I'll come back here, I'll do the handling if it's an identifier. So check. But in the case that this guy is not this, so I would like to handle this. See, else, use else. Hello? Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. So um, here now, I'm thinking it through for. So what I will want to do here, if this guy is not this one, so I want to push it into the buffer. I would like to add the buffer up. So I will come here. You know, I've defined length up here. So I'll say uh, handle buffer. far. Let me leave it here. No, I don't want to handle my if I've already handled it. So I want to get the function. So check. Did I even get my function? To get the function back. Get the function first. Let me get the function first. The function is not null. Then we do that. Where the function is null. There are so many situations that we need to handle here, so I need to think it through. So in a different scenario here. So here in this case, we need to get our function. You know, we've already declared here function that keeps to say function. Equals to get print. Open. So we're going to pass get function, we're going to pass a character to it, then the index. So we're going to say format. Then we say passing I. Passing I. If function what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to check if it's not this one. I know definitely I'm going to have what a character at the next one. I'll be expecting what. Let's assume like this place now. If I come to this place, I know once it's not this one, I know definitely it's going to send what a character to me. So I need to what get a function that will what sorry. So the function it must be anything. copy this. What I would say, since it's just a character that I'm having, I'll just say my length. Length now would be plus 2. Once I handle, I will tell him to just handle buffer for me. What buffer does, takes in the buffer. Passing the buffer that we've created up here. The buffer. Comma. Then we'll pass in the character that we want to put in it. So we say is format. At this current I now, that's the current I because this is the I that we are on now. So where we find that value. So we return the character. So we're passing the character. So you can see this is what we are doing here. Handle buffer. We're sending in the buffer. We're sending in the character now. So we're sending the I buffer. So you can see that our I buffer is what 0 at index 0. We've already defined it there. Put it at the beginning as 0. So end this. So once he adds, I buffer returns what? Handle buffer returns an integer or the character that I added when we are doing the definition, if you remember. So it will return what? The number. So we want to add the number to our length. So if he returns it, if he's successful, so that means he has added what? So what I will say now, the new index of the buffer will be what? I buffer plus. So it will be the new forward index. So this is it. So if this, so in the case that I find out that it's equals to this, so I'll try and get back what? My function. So I find the index, the next index. Once I see this guy now, once I see this, I find this now at ith index. If I keep going, I find this at I index. So I plus 1 will give me this C. So this is what I'm doing here. I say, okay, get the function at what? I plus 1, which is what? The index of what they see. Then I pass in what? The format. So if you come here, get print function will take in what a string, then it takes what the index. Then once it takes in the index, I wish I can use the index and that string to determine which then it returns the function here. So, but if you didn't find the function, it's going to return null. So that's why we are checking if there's a function that we would like to handle with the other ones. So it's still on. So this is where so we say if it's false, so I want to return -1. So to signify that there is an error. So, but if the function returns successfully, what I will want to do is function now the argument to it and the buffer and also what the index of what of the current buffer. So mind you, and then when we do this, buffer now is going to increase up here to 1. So it's going to handle that also for us. So I will say the function actually passed through. So the length now at the end, this function too will return the total number of characters it handled. So we'll say length equals to function open increment it. Then we'll say pass the buffer it. So what I buffer also pass it to go ahead and undo the character. So once it does that, we'll come down here and say buffer. Let me be sure. Let's check this. So we can see based on we handle the buffer, then we return 1. So in the case, it's going to return total number of character actually handled. So that character is handled, we're going to add it to our length. So then that same value so let's just do something. Let me just cheat here for now. We'll rectify, we'll fix it. Say buffer plus plus. So I already know that it's character we're handling, but we have to fix it later. So this will do. So it's going to handle it here. See both. So yeah, buffer. So index of buffer is going to increase also. And the length will decrease. When I come down here, when this loop finish, when you finish the character, I will want him to return the length. So and also here, I would like to end bar end. Again, edit here. So, and I also want to do something because during this process, we created a memory called buffer. So at the end of it, I would like to free that memory space also. So, free the memory space. Free. That's going to be free for use. In this, you can see, edit here. And the argument here, we associate it here, we start it here. Add our buffer also here. So after using it, we want to clear it. So what if in the case that from here we find the function, we do it, and there's another situation that can happen. What if we find this guy here and the next value is empty? What will happen? That's an error also. I would like to check if format at I plus 1 is equals to plus empty character. It's an empty character. And also mm, also format I plus 2. So if I find that it's empty and I, the next one also is falsy. This next one, something like this is equals to the 0 character. So this is not what I want. So that means the last one there. So there's nothing. The front is empty. There is no specifier, and it reached to the end of what? The array. So either of these, if this happen, or this and this happen, this I would like to return an error. I would like to return an error because you can't have initialize it and you don't give it a specifier. So the string is what? Totally error. So I would like to return -1. Else, I will just say handle what? Buffer, then pass buffer to it. But if I find this and this, I would like to print the buffer, free it, and what? Return -1. Okay, this is a scenario. If this and this happens, it's an error already. So this thing is still the same thing as, I'll go ahead and just do this. Give me the same result. I'll do this. So in the case of something like this happening, I want to return -1. It's an error. that error. So there's another scenario that can happen again to this. There's another situation that can happen that so what if in the case that this guy now is empty and they end like this? You follow through, you find out that this is it, but this one is empty. What do you want to do? In this kind of situation, I will still want to go ahead and print these ones, but I will return what -1. I will still go ahead and print these guys, but I'll go ahead and return what -1, telling it that there was an error, but I will still print these values from my buffer, then free it. So let's handle it here and see if format at I +1 is equals to this guy, which is what 0. I will say what let's print the buffer. See, print what? Print buffer. Print buffer. So what does print buffer does? Print buffer does is takes in the buffer, check. Print buffer takes in the buffer, then takes in the number. So print the buffer, takes in the buffer, takes in the number. So we know that our length is always keeping what? The length of what we've put into our buffer. So we pass length to it. Our length, will pass it to it. Then we'll say, okay, I'll print this. I want you to free buffer. I want to end this. I don't want to go further. Then I also want to end var argument because I want to end this argument. So I'll end this. So once he prints it out and also free of the buffer and then end the argument passing, what I want him to do is to return -1 because it's an error. So you will return -1. Then come down here to this. What I will say is else if else if to the situation, if this does not happen, else this is equals to empty. That means it's not this, it's not end of the string, but it's something like this, and the next one is what is end of the string. So I will want him to return -1. So else if so if this works, if this not go through, do this. If this is the case, do this. But if neither of these guys, so I will say else. Do this. That's what- Get the function. So I know that there is what an identifier in front of it. So I'm sure of that. So I'll send in what the point where the identifier is. So, but in the case that after sending the identifier, instead of putting C, someone put an arbitrary number, arbitrary identifier that we didn't define in our function. Function should end. Okay. So if this case to happen, there's something that I would like to do here. If I exit, if the function is not found, I don't want to print out. Do I want to print it out? I don't want to print it out. Go for that one. Should return an error. So what I will do, go to this. Free up this. Okay. Free up the buffer. Okay. Also, and is it. End of this. So, but if the function is not empty, the function is not empty, it's supposed to be inside. If the function is not empty, I want him to handle it, and increment the buffer by 1. Then the length, I'll add the total number of what character that actually printed. So then the buffer will be what increment by 1. But there is a way that we should increment this buffer, because this function will go and take care of what handle buffer. So once it did the handle buffer, most of the times he will do it severally there. So we'll keep the number, we'll return it here. I want to do it twice. So what I'll just do is this is fine. So far, do anyone has any question before we go ahead and run the first program? Hello?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, all here with you, sir. Does anyone has any question before we go ahead to test the program?
Yeah, I'm okay for now. Let's just go test the programs and see.
All right.
Okay, so me, I don't have a question though, but I'm really looking in between the lines of code to really understand. So I may not have a question now, but when I'm going through it again, I think if I have a question, I'll reach out.
All right. No problem. That's fine. So, is it? We handle most of the things. This one. This guy is this. This one. If this is this, return this one. And else, unless there is, check the function. The function is valid. There is a function for it. Return it and handle the function here. So key function. Handle this. Passing the index of this. So for character, it will take only one and do what he has to do. So for this, add what? Index of the buffer. else. It's not as image. Handle it for ourselves. We want the function to handle it. Just handle it ourselves here. Put it inside the profile, increase the profile index, increase the index of this. And once we are through our follow this finish and video profile, the return length. Good. Everything is intact. Check this again. Function takes this one. Function here. Take a string and index. Function. Function. Get function to do the format. Okay, fine. Good. Going to go for the function. Taking this. Next, taking a string. Function is taking string to go for type of file index. So it should take. Yeah, good. Just trying to cross check to be sure. It's correct. So here we have to discard this particular line here. So let's have a test. Main.test. Sorry, I'm trying to include something.
No problem, sir.
Trying to get I'm just those test code that they give you for the main file. So we're trying to test it side by side with this guy, length 1 and 2, printf, trying to see if they will return the same value with our function. So let's say, let's see how they did the testing after getting this. Okay, make maximum this. Okay. Address void blah blah. Okay, handle car. So let me leave it at that. So let's see if we'll do the same thing. If they are going to print out same thing. So this is the length that I'll do. I'll do for both of them. Say and since we just did our own only character, so let me just use printf to handle the numbers. So I'll say the first one is for underscore print. F will be L, sorry, D, then F, and F. So E, L, F1, length, so then let's return. So this is just a test to test what we did, but we'll still go ahead and add some things. But I want us to do the first testing. I think we're good. Let's run this. In a minute, properties, printing all of them dash 0. Come. Zero. What did we do wrong here? Say in function get print function, we said in line 16 error comparison between pointer and integer. Okay, so if s index is equals to pointer and integer, so s at index, this is a character. So why are we comparing type arc? So let's go back to this. I've seen where the problem is coming from. We go to main, to our main. So what we are doing here, we said we're keeping a string here. Instead of us, we keep what? Character. So it's supposed to be a character here, not a string. So it's just a character we want to keep here. So that's why this comparison is failing. So we come here, be treated as error. So we say conflict type for handle buffer. So int handle buff, buf c int buff. So when buffer buffer int. So I think this should be assigned int. Where is this coming from? From print buffer. Print buffer. So we've handled this. Let's say print buffer is unsigned this. So let's go and handle this also. Let's handle this first. This is more clear where it's coming from. So we say UI print buffer. So it's not int here, it's unsigned int that we're supposed to. Okay. So you can see where the problem is coming from. So here is supposed to be unsigned. So supposed to make this unsigned. That's why I said whenever I'm typing, if you cite anything like this, please draw it to my attention so that sometimes you're writing these things, you'll forget, so you come back getting the errors. So this will handle this. This conflict. To handle this conflict, and we've taken care of this. So what next? I think if that one is taking care of this one, two should go away. Then go for int the definition. So is this handling? I think we're good. Let's try to run it again. Okay. Is it still giving us? Oh. We haven't saved the changes we did here, so let's save it first. The internet is slow. I lost it. Let's refresh it. Start that. So, There's something that I saw when I was checking the document. The sample code, they use 1,100 as 1,125, 1,025, yes, to check for the limit. So I'm going to use the same thing here. So, so our function is not doing properly. It's not even printing what it's supposed to print. You can see the character is returning 741 characters. So that means there is an assignment that we did wrongly. So we need to check that also. It's supposed to be what? 39. So, and we can see most definitely, I know this one is the printf that print this one. So let's check that also. Confirm where our error is coming from. Why is it not printing? Let's give me, I'm trying to check. Let me see. Handle this guy. This guy fails. I want you to do this one. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I think there are some things that we need to check that is bouncing back. So, but I would like to leave us here to still go through the code yourself and check where they were getting it wrong. Well, basically, this is what it is. Then maybe tomorrow I'll reach out to you. I'll just give you back the correction that I made with the file. Maybe you can share it out to them. Or if we are meeting tomorrow again, no problem.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I appreciate your help a lot.
Yes,
And
because
this is
those please let everyone go and rest. Carry on.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, but you see how, well, you people see how I tackle the problem. So this one is just, I know it's a minor problem. I can trace it back. So I don't want to keep you waiting how I'm tracing it. I will still trace it. So, but I will show you where the error is coming from.
Okay, so thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate your help too.
All right.
It's not easy to actually give out your whole nights like this. I appreciate you a lot.
All right.
Okay, so we'll look at it again and try to practice with the code too, and get back
All
to
right.
you too.
All right, no problem. If
Okay.
you want it, I can share it out with you.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Okay, sir. Please, you said if you want it, you can also share it with us. Please, we'll need it, please.
All right, no problem.
Okay, I'll reach out to you on that.
All right.
Okay. So the whole team, you can unmute your mic and say good night to Mr. Elisha.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Elisha. And yeah, have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, good night, sir.
Good night.
Okay, so I want to thank everybody too for coming out.
Thank you,
Okay.
David.
Yeah, I appreciate you a lot. So we'll meet, I don't know, we'll discuss in the group maybe later in the day when everybody's active. But for now, let us just go back and rest. We've all tried. Okay, thank you, Najib.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night and talk to you later.
Okay, thank you. And good night to you too.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Okay, good night. Okay.